Welcome back on the AM show, and of course we get into our big stories. Now, first on the chopping board, we're going to engage our members of parliament from both sides, the NDC and the MPP, on three crucial issues. The first, the minority is warning that senior high school managers are struggling to run their institutions due to the non-payment of utility bills. Then we'll also contemplate the fact that the Ningo Prampram, a member of parliament, Sam Jatta George, and the leading sponsor of the anti-gay bill, wants Parliament to go to the Supreme Court over President Akufo-Addo's refusal to sign some private members' bills that were passed. We'll also talk about the district level elections. Joining us for a discussion on same, we have in the studio Mohammed Sukbaru. He's Member of Parliament for Sisala West. He joins the conversation. Later, we'll also be joined by Dixon Adumaku-Kisi, Dr. Adumaku-Kisi. He's Member of Parliament, Anya Sotum. Mr. Sukbaru, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother.
It's good to have you join the conversation this morning. I see you're still a bit busy receiving calls. Is it from your constituency?
Oh, yes, from my constituency, you know.
They never leave you in peace, do they?
They will never leave you in peace. Even when you are sleeping, you will receive the calls. And I understand because you are the person they are looking up to, and so when they have problems, certainly you expect those things from them. Sometimes some people just need guidance, maybe some advice and stuff like that.
And sometimes they need money.
Yes, of course.
In fact, a lot of the time, it has to do with money.
It has to do with money. That one is the fact. It has to do with money.
We'll get into that. This is your first time on the show, so it's good to host you. But first off, Sisala West, how is your constituency faring? I do this to all members of parliament whenever they come. How is your constituency faring?
Well, in terms of health-wise, we are fine. In terms of economic activity, as you know, we are the largest producers of maize in Ghana.
I see. Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes, the Sisala area, yes, the largest. You can find out. We are the largest. We feed this country when it comes to cereal, maize and soybeans.
I see.
So they are doing well in terms of farming activities. Like in terms of infrastructure, zero. The roads...
Infrastructure, zero.
Infrastructure, zero. The road networks, the schools, hospitals and stuff like. For instance, Sisala West, as we speak, our road network is very bad. Our education, the basic education especially, no furniture for students to sit. And in some cases, classrooms are seriously part of the problems that we are faced with. We are now struggling to have a district hospital. We were promised the first 88 hospitals that were promised in 2020, you remember, when the COVID came. We were part of the first 88, but up until now, still, we hoping to get the hospital. Later, the Agenda 111, we got one, but the construction is just, we don't know whether the contractor is as a result of the non-payment of, his previous work done. It's not progressing as we expected it. And so there are several challenges, several challenges. It's a problem. And I've made several statements regarding the challenges that my people are confronted with. In terms of road networks, I've made a statement, the health and stuff like, to the extent that sometimes the people resort to the neighboring Burkina Faso. It's a border,
border community.
And so many of the times, some of the communities travel to the neighboring Burkina Faso to access health facility. And is that...
They travel into Burkina
Faso. That is a fact. Even in Golo.
Wait. Hold on. You're telling me some members of your constituency
travel to Burkina Faso to access health
when they need healthcare.
They
travel into Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. It is a fact. And my people are watching me. And so I can't come and sit on this big platform to it is a fact.
Have you seen it for yourself?
Of course. And I'm saying that even the district capital itself, where the former president is coming from, Golu, people travel to a neighboring community in Burkina Faso called Wotule. That is where they attend hospital when they need it. Because eventually when you go to...
You're talking of Burkina Faso, which is led by a military regime.
Exactly.
And we go there.
Exactly. We go there to access health facility. And I'm saying that even our district hospital, when you go there now, you cry for yourself. Sometimes even common drugs, those petty, like, I don't know. So it's a challenge for us. But is it not dangerous to do that?
You are Ghanaian. It's a border community. I know.
Exactly. So I don't know if you've been to Golu before. You would have to either travel to Nandon, which is very far from the district.
About how many kilometers?
Nandon, you would need to travel like almost 2 hours to Nandon. You know, if you want to travel to the regional capital where the regional hospital is, it is also 2 hours to 2 hours 50, 2 hours 30 minutes. You know, if
so
you have
they prefer to go into Burkina Faso.
It is about the facility, because when you go to, the district hospital, you are not getting the needed drugs. And so they think that when they travel to Burkina Faso, they get the drugs there and they are treated and discharged and they come home comforted. So people read that resort in traveling to Burkina Faso.
So, but they cross illegally.
Exactly, yes.
And it's dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. That is how I'm being honest with you. Northern part of the entire constituency shared borders with Burkina Faso. Many of those communities, from Fialimo, from Chetu, the Moro, Puzene, Facho, down. Some time ago, there was an issue about this insurgent. So there was a report that some of them were sighted along the borders. They actually ran into our country. I remember at that time I was in the constituency. And these are some of the challenges that we are faced with. But people are compelled to travel to the neighboring Burkina Faso just because they want good health care. We do not have it in our district. And so you can't, when you are sick, you need somebody to attend to you. And so if in your own country and you go to the hospital, you cannot even get paracetamol, what else do you want them to do? And if they know that when they travel to the neighboring Burkina Faso, they'll get doses. Certainly, they would have to go.
So wait, they cross over, they pay. Of course, you can't pay. There's no health insurance or anything, so you have to pay.
They have to pay.
And they have to pay in SAFA.
They have to pay in SAFA, yes.
And they're willing to do that. And they're willing to hazard the risks,
about your health.
The risks of everything.
It's about your health. It is about your. It's not like they are willing to do. Have you
ever been in that community and been sick and had to do that before you yourself?
No.
Have you ever done that before?
No. I haven't done that. But these are people that I represent.
Right.
And I am telling you the fact. So they do not have.
No, I'm not disputing that.
Yes,
I'm just trying to get into it.
They don't have the alternative. And so the only alternative for them is to travel to those.
Let me ask you very quickly. As Member of Parliament, some of these things don't lie within your area of work or your purview, but it has fallen into it because of like road construction and the rest, and lobbying for that, right?
Yeah.
Have you reached out to the health ministry? Have you lobbied to get a better facility or more medication for your community? Have you done that?
On countless occasions. My brother, I've been saying this. One of the major challenges we face in this country is how partisan we are when it comes to allocating resources, sending development to, because you are not their own. I keep saying it.
Because you are not MPP. Is that what you're saying?
MPP, of course. So if I go there and a colleague of mine who is an MPP goes there, if they have maybe 10 projects that they are supposed to share, they look at who is our own and then they give it to the person. I'm not saying that entirely. That is how it is.
Because I was just about to pin you down to the fact that there's also development in other parts of the country, which are not necessarily strongholds.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. At least. But that's what I'm saying. It is not entirely the case, but at least you will see 80% of the, in terms of resource or development.
80%.
80% of it is an open secret. And so for me, the only thing I can do as a member of parliament to do the advocate, which I've been doing, bringing the minister to the floor to ask questions so that at least the ministers will make commitment in answering the questions, so that a committee in parliament called government assurance can take those promises or assurances given by the minister, right? They can take them up and do a follow-up. I can do a follow-up. So I've done that in terms of health. I've several questions. I've been to the health ministries, rows every day. Wafa knows. When I say Wafa, I'm talking about the road minister. I'm always in his office. Talking about this roads network in our area. Look, mind you, there was even a grant or a facility coming from EU, somewhere 2021, about 600 and something. No, I can't quote the figure, but it was about 600 and something kilometers. Farm access roads. You said farm access road. The thing was meant for Upper West. Can you imagine? Not even a single kilometer of road from the three, let me say, the Sisala constituencies. But when it comes to farming, of course, the Upper West, we are all farmers. Like I said, in terms of those who produce, the largest producers of maize, we were left out. In fact, we were completely left out. Not even a single kilometer was given to us. So I organized the chiefs. We raised this issue. We even did demonstration. We came down to Accra here, together with my colleague MP for Sisala East, Y East. We met with the minister, the then minister for Agric, what's his name? Dr. Afriye Kotoe.
Who say Afriye Kotoe?
Yes, together with the road minister, because the money came through Ministry of Agric. They assured us that they were going to, revary their whatever. For the past 3 years, those projects, as I speak, are ongoing. We haven't benefited from one. It is still a challenge for us all. When you look, it is only in Sisala Weza or the Sisala area that we've not a single district that we share borders with that you can see a tar road. And this is a district that ever produced a president. That's why the tomb of the president, the former president, is lying in Golu. I'm talking about the former president. It's a challenge from Golu, or if you are traveling from Golu to Tumu, the road is very bad. From Golu to Lembusie, same. Golu to Japa, same. So we are virtually cut off. I don't know if you can ask those who has ever look. Do you know that as we speak, the road from Wa to Tumu is still not tarred, and Tumu to Borga, that road has been like that ever since I was born. So it's a challenge. So sometimes you go, and funny enough, when you are traveling from my constituencies to Burkina Faso, the moment you get to the border, you are entering into a tar road.
Right when you get to the border.
Yes, the border, yes.
Of course, well, it's a border area. You would expect a tar.
No, but so why are we not also tiring from our side to meet them?
So how does this make you feel? Does it make you feel as though you were less Ghanaian, especially in your constituency?
Trust me.
Does it make you as MP, does it make your constituents feel less Ghanaian?
Yeah, less Ghanaian. And they themselves feel that. I must be honest with you. They themselves feel that. They feel like we are not part of this country. That's how we feel. We see road construction ongoing at other places. We are not getting that. Hospitals, we are not getting that. I said when you go to the hospital, even medication becomes a challenge. Many of the nurses are afraid to speak out. And these are real issues. Our people rather feel safe in Burkina Faso, to be honest with you. They prefer to be in Burkina. Because that is the only place when they go, they get health facilities to attend to. Yes, you have a district like Sisala West that is so scattered, 56 communities, my brother. 56 communities. To travel from one end to the district capital to access the facility in the district capital, one need to travel almost 2 hours to get to the district capital. And so when you come there, you are not even going to be given the medication that you need. And so they prefer to travel to Burkina Faso. Actually, when they get there, they will get it. I have a picture of one of my executives. He had an issue with his leg. I kept calling for them to bring him to Wa. In fact, when I was not getting him on phone, I sent somebody to go to the village. And when the guy got to their village, they told him, the guy is at the hospital. Which hospital? We were looking for him at all the hospitals. Is he at the regional hospital, Nandon, Tumu, or Golu? The guy was at Burkina Faso. So I sent somebody to visit him at the Burkina Faso. And so when they went there, because I said they should go. Why is it that they should bring him? But I was afraid. He rather told them that he was safe in Burkina Faso, because when he went to our hospital, there was nothing to be given to him. And at that particular facility in Burkina, he was being treated. As I speak to you, he's fine now. And so these are some of the challenges that we are faced with. A country like Burkina, right, that has experienced coup 3 times within a year or so. Our people, we have been practicing stable democracy for the past 30 years.
That's an interesting picture, but it's not just your constituents who have to seek health care in Burkina Faso. We also realize, at least from what we hear, that some of your constituents are also engaging in some illegality in the sense that you mentioned that you produce the largest, amounts of cereal in Ghana, the maize and the rest. But some of them are also carting this over to Burkina Faso to the detriment of the products, the maize and the rest. They are taking them to Burkina Faso instead of bringing them to Ghana. Are you aware of that?
I don't see it to be illegality.
You don't?
I don't, to be honest with you.
Why?
Look, my brother, a farmer struggled to raise money to buy a fertilizer. He's done that. He struggled to raise money.
Don't they benefit from fertilizers, planting for food and jobs?
So you trust that? Planting for food and job.
I'm merely asking.
No. I'm just, how are they going to benefit? That when you say planting for food and job, I asked a question, I asked the Greek minister. There's no fertilizer subsidies. They said they are going to look out for people to supply fertilizers to those planting for food and jobs. It is people that you must be part of a group to benefit from that. How many of the farmers that are going to be, they identify, and many of these things they share among the politicians.
Okay, so let's focus on your reasoning in terms of taking the products to Burkina Faso.
Exactly. So
instead
that's
of
what
going
I'm
through the
coming
proper
to
routes.
If it is the responsibility of government to provide them already market. After production, there should be a market, right, to buy those farm produce from them. So if after production, after harvesting from the farm, there's nobody to buy the farm produce, and if there is a market, a nearby market, when they take the products there, they will get something. What do you think they should do?
But look at it from this angle. If you are the largest producers of maize and other cereals, okay, you would expect that, quite a chunk of it is bought by Ghanaians, right?
Yes.
And we have our own issues with food sustainability, food security. So why that? I get it from the standpoint of wanting to make money.
I just wanting to make money. One other obstacle for them, I told you about the nature of our road networks. To even transport the farm produce to this, to the regional capital, it's a problem. It's a problem because the roads are no good. It is rather cheaper to transport those things to the neighboring Burkina Faso. I'm being honest with you. And so for us to be able to cap this, government must invest in the road network and also provide, market for the farmers to be able to sell their farm produce to after harvesting. But until that, you cannot, when you have your maize lying in the house and you need money to pay your child's school fees, and there's no market for you to sell in your country, and there's a market somewhere, where do you think will happen? Certainly the person will find ways and means to take those things there.
So we're talking of large volumes of maize and cereals going to Burkina Faso instead of coming into Ghana. Yes. And wow, I see.
Because of the road network.
So terrible road network from what you've... Terrible health situation.
In terms of education, I said the students, even to sit on furniture is a problem.
Let me hold for me. I'll come back to you on another bit in respect of your constituency before we get into the core issues. We're joined by the Member of Parliament as well for Anyanso Utum, Dr. Dixon Adomaku-Kisi. Doc, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. I intentionally just wanted to hit you with a tree and see how you respond.
I'm actually very pensive. And listening to your accent, your tree accent, to determine if it's original or adulterated. I think you need a little bit more fufu.
Fufu.
Yes.
Fufu they mean new.
So I've hit it right on the nail. So if you won't do fufu, then I think I'll recommend.
I do everything else from teaser to Kote and everything.
But not enough.
Hey,
it will help you with your dialect.
Ayo.
So have some more kuntumre.
I'm a tree scholar.
Well, the diction. Yeah.
But welcome aboard. You know how we do it. I started from his constituency.
Yeah.
Sisala West, and your colleague, what he's been telling me, I know you followed a bit of it before while coming here. You heard him. I wanted to save this for you because as a medical doctor, he says it's so bad in his constituency, not just his constituency, the three, I think there are three. Is it three constituencies in there?
Yeah, there are about 4. Sisala West, Sisala East, Y East, and Lembusi.
Good. And things are so bad that for healthcare purposes, he was even shocked. His people sometimes go to neighboring Burkina Faso to get healthcare because it's a border community. They can easily cross, they go there, and they prefer to do that for 2 reasons. One, you go to the district hospitals after having traveled for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and even paracetamol may be a problem. That is one. And 2, the road network, terrible. So people would prefer to travel right into Burkina Faso, barring all the dangers, because this is an administration led by soldiers and all of that. I mean, how can you even... And then he's also saying, as I have been informed, which I have confirmed from him now, maize and other, they are the biggest producers of that in the country. And some are sending it to Burkina Faso instead of, keeping it in Ghana. Well, what do you make of that? Quickly, before we proceed.
Let me also take the opportunity to say good morning to my constituents, Anya Sultum. Yesterday was quite interesting, but
say something to me.
But it is what it is. With regards to some of these issues, I always ask myself, has this issue been there forever, or is it that it's a new trend? And then what has been done over the past? In fact, there are parts of the Volta region where people actually go outside the country to come back because of the mountainous nature or access to road and or path. So this is not unusual with border towns. It's not unusual.
But we're talking about how long. He mentioned that it's been there for a long time.
Yes, that's why.
But within this administration, it's been 7 years. That's a long time.
No. If it's been an existing issue for his constituents over a decade, then it's not new.
This traveling to Burkina Faso, how long has it gone on?
Oh, it's been there. It's been there for a long time.
So
how long? 10 years?
Before he was
15
born.
years?
Before he was born.
Yeah, 10 years.
Before he was born.
Some years back, it wasn't like that.
I
don't want to do politics with it, but to be honest, it's some years back. It wasn't like that.
So
initially, the district was one Sisala district until 2004 that the Sisala West was
carved out of
the Sisala district, and so beginning wasn't like that.
So that's something to look at. But either way, I think that he said some very important things, which is one, agricultural produce movement and transportation. I mean, I think that it is inseparable. And if agro production is even high and getting it to market.
And it's not, because there are places down south and others that would need that.
And that's what I'm saying,
then even what we have
production is high, but then getting it to market becomes a problem. And clearly, this is one of the issues with agricultural industry, and it just shows how important roads are either for mining communities or for agri-producing communities. So this is something that sometimes a very strong case has to be made for, and you need the buy-in of both the agri ministry and then also the roads ministry. And I think that this is one of those things that it is not necessarily colored in any party lines, because both administrations have been there, the issue has been there. But I really feel his pain, and I think that a very strong case has to be made, because, I mean,
That's time without number. He's engaged the health minister, he's engaged the roads minister. And he said something interesting, that even in allocating resources and stuff like this, one problem is that there's a partisan tint to it. And he says as much as 80%, sometimes if, let's say, 10 resources are available, all these communities need them, but about 80% goes the other way.
It'll be unfortunate. If that's the case.
But that's what he said. He's your colleague MP.
But let
knows.
me make a case here that, listen, in fact, I'm still dreaming of something, yeah? And let me put it out here. I'm dreaming that there should be a day when every constituency is awarded a minimum number of kilometers of road.
Exactly.
You know, so that no matter the government, every constituency in this country will get, if it is 5 kilometers for the 4 years, you get it regardless.
So that it matters not which administration is in power.
Absolutely.
There's a system and it must be done.
And that one is like no argument about it. And it will be the prerogative of the constituents to decide which critical roads to be done. And I think that anything beyond that will be your lobbying, if you understand me. So this will be an infrastructural development agenda regardless of NDC MPP, and it will be roads for each constituency regardless of the administration, and then nobody would have the prerogative to say that, hey, this is MPP government, this is our stronghold. Yeah. And I think that this is something as infantile as it is an idea. I really think that based on the nuances in this country, some of our developmental projects have to be done that way. So that if every constituency will get libraries, it won't be an NDC MPP agenda. It is a national agenda. And I think that we need to see how we can make this happen, because this tilt of this or that is not helping. And then I really think that to some extent, I am crying, even though my party is in government, that populations matter. In the Americas, your resources are based on the population. Yeah. But over and over and over again, the Bantamas, the Ashaiman, the Amasamans, the Domikwabenyas of Ghana,
the Anyaso
Utums, we are not getting the cake in excess of what everybody. I mean, your constituents are, I don't know, what's your population? Maybe 30,000, I don't know.
No, you mean no, we are about 70-something thousand.
70-something thousand.
Yours is what? 100 and what?
My population is 325,000.
325,000.
Yes. So if
sometimes another aspect. Hold for me. Another aspect of the conversation is that he may have 70,000, but the area he has to cover is so large in some constituencies. It's a problem. So that's part of it.
One factor. Let me just come talk. Yes, I entirely agree with this conversation. I would have wished that we have a system like that. But to be honest with you, if you want to go by the population, many of these areas,
not only by population.
No, I'm coming. So if you are citing population, for instance, the people living in Sisala West that I just mentioned are about 70-something thousand people in Sisala West. That doesn't mean that is many of the people who even left the constituency and have to look for other places due to, all kinds of reasons, including amenities. They are even more than the people living in the constituency.
Well,
so if those amenities are provided, trust me, just like the Kayo, if you go to Agbogbeleshi right now, the number of people from a constituency that are in Agbogbeleshi, you can't even count them. Why are they here? It's because they cannot get.
In other words, the constituency has a much more burgeoning population.
Exactly. So when the developmental projects that we're talking about, if all these things are provided in the constituency, trust me, you wouldn't see people traveling out of the place.
Okay.
The constituency that is crowded, it is not the indigents of Anyaso Trum. It is many other people who travel. You get it. They are there because of the nature.
All right. I think your point is made.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that, in summary, there should be that equity thing, but also in addition, and that's why I come in that, if you're given 5,000 for resources, I shouldn't be giving 5,000 for resources because of the volume of my, and that is my point. So,
but I think
I'm not saying
he also makes a point in a certain way because, like it or not, if even, let's say, another 30,000 come and add to your population.
I also tell him that
you are just 1/3
I also tell him
of
that
his population.
In sharing resources, they should consider which constituencies that
already
or
have,
when it comes to infrastructure.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying.
When we consider that, even though you have a populated constituency, you may not also be getting the resources because you have almost all the amenities.
So Doc, wrap on this point. What then is the way forward?
In concluding, one, I think that agro-business and roads are very important, and I would encourage you. Of course, there's a new agric minister now. He has a listening ear, and he might not be able to resolve.
Well, the first one was not having a listening ear.
Well, he might not be able to address it now, but I think that if the beautiful thing is that if you get it in the pipeline, eventually it gets done. Okay. So I'll encourage you to do that. But either way, I mean, maize is a big deal in this country, and the same has happened with even our cocoa. When cocoa was going to Cote d'Ivoire instead of coming, because there's always so many different factors. But I think over time, some of these things would be addressed. And whether we like it or not, some places might be deplorable for various reasons. Exactly. And as it stands, I mean, people migrate to where there's resources. Right. And jobs.
I just wanted you to wrap on this quick point because we have to move. We have to move. Honorable. I just want to make this point. I want to make this point. Please let me do this. Okay. I am coordinating this. So you made mention of the fact that in your constituency, in many ways, you feel less Ghanaian.
Yes.
Bad roads, terrible roads. He says what within a certain radius, there's no tarred road.
Oh yes, from the district to there's no any tar road in any of these communities.
Imagine that.
Tumu Township that has been tarred since 1990.
So apart from the Tumu Township, there's
not all the roads. Some part of the Tumu Town roads.
Right.
Yes, there's no any tar road either in Lembu
and it just got me thinking.
Sala West or Wais.
That is the hometown of former president
where he's
Dr. Hilary Liman. And there's even no project to honor him.
No.
And look at the state of it. So you ask yourself sometimes.
In talking about honoring, listen, I weep every day when I visit Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital. Because from where I stand, looking at the quantum of loans we've taken in the name of cocoa, Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital in Mampong, right, should have been an edifice which is so bold and so encouraging that Ghanaians can say that for Tetekwashi's Memorial Hospital, for what cocoa has done for Ghana, there's an edifice that speaks well of Ghana, and personally, I mean, it's something that beats my mind. We don't know how to celebrate our heroes, and that is a cultural problem we have in this country.
Anyway,
kudos to the president with what he's done for Kwame Nkrumah in terms of the memorial. But for me, it is not enough.
But I mean, the way you said, hold on. The way you said, you mean the renovation.
I know where he's going.
It's a good renovation. I've been there. It is brilliant.
So my point, and this is something we do to ourselves as Ghanaians. I really think that, listen, to encourage the young ones to work hard for something, to bring back nationalism, it is important that we go back to history and really celebrate. I mean, listen, you go to the US, Washington, D.C., is everything about Washington you'd see. You go Midwest, they have things to celebrate their former presidents. And
Mount Rushmore, the figures carved.
You understand? So I really think that we need to pay serious attention to our history. If you don't know your history, where are you going? That's
point made. So I wanted to say something quickly. 30 seconds.
Sometimes I sit down and ask myself if indeed we are part of this country. And we are part of this country.
I want you to feel
I am sometimes tempted to lead a kind of demonstration to prevent nobody from the southern sectors to come to any of our district to buy any maize. Sometimes I say, look,
so you sell everything to Burkina Faso.
So if we are not being recognized, you are not consulting our rules, then when we farm, don't come there. We will prevent anybody coming to the district to buy, and we will see what will happen to this country. Many of the brags that we've been bragging that, we have abundant food, we have a lot of maize. The maize is coming from our place. So if we prevent them to even sending the maize down here, my brother, give yourself 6 months to see what will happen in this country. So
we hope we don't.
Look at
he
how
talks about even fertilizers. They are not getting them.
Exactly. Somewhere last year, I'm not talking about this year. Could you imagine last year, farmers had to travel to the neighboring Burkina Faso to buy fertilizer? That was a 2022 farming season.
Anyway, this conversation, we have other things to look at. It's crucial, but these are things that we're putting out, and all of you as members of parliament can also help bring some. And to corroborate what you're saying, Alhassan Sindon Wiayuka says, I'm watching live from Tumu. We are suffering with our roads. No tarred road in the whole Sisala area. They are getting worse day by day. And that's the message coming through. But this one from Angelo Fiaotwafo. You are in the KJB district. You are the NIA head. It's good to hear from you, Angelo. You say you are doing the watching, and it's good to know. Okay, all right. Let's get into some of the core issues that we want to look at today. The minority in Parliament is warning that senior high schools, their managers are struggling to run the institutions due to non-payment of utility bills by government. And I'll be coming to the member of the minority in here, Mr. Suparu, to just help us address those issues. You are warning that senior high school managers are struggling to run the institutions due to non-payment of utility bills by government. And I do realize that in recent times we had issues of some headmasters being sanctioned, summoned, and all of that. But you speak to some of them and they also tell you, listen, we know what the students go through. If we don't do some of these things, they are going to suffer. Last year, we saw how the buffer stock could not provide some items for some of the schools. Some were eating dried bread, nothing to add, beverages without sugar, and a whole lot of things. But what is the stance of the minority on this point?
Yes, like Raleigh said, the stand, it is not only the minority, every Ghanaian, and I'm sure including my brother, if he takes...
I think he will speak for himself.
Oh, yes. If he takes off the political spectacles from his face, you would realize that he will speak same language every Ghanaian.
He's put...
wearing the political spectacles. So, my brother, it is a challenge. If you go to many of the institutions, the people are really struggling. And the headmasters, sometimes I really sympathize with them. The kind of frustration they go through, in the sense that they face many of these challenges and they don't have anybody to speak to, because they have been intimidated to the extent that even when you speak out, the next day you'll be sanctioned.
And a lot of them have spoken on grounds of anonymity and complained about victimization, intimidation, that if you speak up, this is what will happen.
In this case, many people, including myself, I see the problem coming from the finance ministry, to be honest with you.
The finance ministry?
Of course.
How so?
Because every year, as we sit here, he and I know that there's a budget ongoing. We are in the process of approving the budget. There's an amount of money allocated to the Ministry of Education. Proposed that they would need this amount of money to run the educational sector from January to December. So Parliament approved such amount for them. Then it has to do with releases. And so if those releases are not coming, how are we going to run these institutions? And then what I would want the education minister to also entertain is he should allow the headmasters to speak out. You know, when you are sanctioning them when they speak, it is a problem, because people must speak out. The public will help the sector to grow. Because if we sit and keep quiet, if you go to many of these secondary schools, what do they eat? My brother, you weep for.
Recently, I saw a video somewhere. I don't think it was. It's a school feeding program, so
yes,
it's not.
Many parents,
the sort of food. If you look at what was being called,
and many parents these times, when their wards are going to school, you have to look for extra money. Even though we say we are experiencing free senior high school, the money we even give to your ward for feeding alone, if we are paying for them to purchase the food and feed the ward, is better than the money you would have to give. Because if you allow and sit at home and think that, oh, it is free senior high school, the kind of sickness your ward may may get himself involved, you would even have to look for more than 5 times of that amount to cure that sickness. You see, and these are realities. So we are saying that The reality is that the people are struggling. If you cannot even purchase food, right, to feed the students, how are you going to, pay the utility bills? Now, you don't want the headmaster to speak. You said there's nothing like PTA again. It shouldn't be Parents Teachers Association. It should be Parents Association, where teachers are not supposed to be involved. Some of these things, allow them. It's voluntarily. Parents Teachers Association. It is not like the headmasters are imposing on the parents. Many of the parents are willing. That
I know of institutions where, and we know them, where the parents voluntarily make donations because they know in the end it's for the children, and they know that there are insufficient mechanisms when it comes to feeding and the rest. I don't want to mention institutions, but we all know them.
Yes. So if the ministry can allow them to practice the PTA system, the headmaster, before coming out with any fee, certainly would have to involve the parents. If they all agree that, okay, let us do ABCD to support, then you allow them to do. But if you say they shouldn't take a pesewa from the parents, you say they shouldn't take a pesewa, you know very well that you don't even have the resources, the money, you don't even have to pay the utility bills. So do you expect the student to go and sleep in darkness?
Let me come to Dr. Adomaku Kisi on that point. There have been lots of complaints right from the inception of free SHS on this issue. It appears government has bitten more than it can chew in some aspects. Why not? I mean, people have said that, look, we as parents, we can pay, we can support. And it's almost like saying, no, because I'm saying it's free, I don't want you to support. So what is the rationale behind this? In the meantime, students always have to go through a hassle just to make it through every term. Why must it be so?
First of all, I mean, I must admit that we all know Rome was not built in a day. And when you make your mind to do something, like go on the moon, you have hiccups. And there's been hiccups in the SHS program, admittedly.
Sorry, my apologies.
Yes.
You made the analogy of going to the moon, so like a big project, right? Big project.
Free SHS is a big project.
No, I'm saying, so big project. But you don't say you're going to the moon on a bus. You need a space shuttle. You need the right vessel.
Agreed.
So if you're going on a bus, you're wasting everybody's time.
Agreed. As it stands now, Ghana has spent a lot of money on the SHS program. And I think that we need to be cognizant of the fact that once the student volume has increased, consumption of energy will what? Increase. So even before free SHS, if their utility bill was 1,000 a month, with the increase in student population, whether you like it or not, resources, I mean, more students will go and turn on the light than before.
Doc, I'll then say simply that it's a plan. No. I'm just adding to what you're saying.
Okay.
It's a plan. So you knew. In fact, one of the things that was touted when it came to free SHS was that the numbers would expand, would balloon.
Yeah.
We knew that.
Correct.
So what has been the planning over this period of 5-6 years that plus that free SHS has run, and how has it changed matters?
Admittedly, there's one issue in our country, and I've said it many times. Past students in other jurisdictions help their alma maters heavily.
Usually at the college level.
That element, not just college.
I'm not saying only, but usually.
Listen. Let's be a bit fair to government. I'm not always pro-government. I'm a private enterprise type of person. And my key thing here is that over time, the policy of educating more people, I think, stands supreme. And I believe that it is not necessarily the environment that contributes to your A grade or B grade or C grade. And I believe that if we have very powerful teachers, regardless of the environment that the students are learning in, they will excel. Now, the other thing is that this program has been running, and we must admit, from day one to now, whether we like it or not, it has improved over the past 7 years, far better than what it was on day one. Shall I say that every issue surrounding the free SHS is eliminated? No, It's impossible. Even malaria is still in Ghana after over a century. But the key thing is that
some countries have eradicated.
We have made progress. And as it stands now, we need to appreciate the positives more than the negatives. And I am happy when I see the volume of students who have now graduated from this free SHS program. And I know that there's a glimmer of hope in the sense that every year we are improving on the system. And admittedly, next year will be a better experience than this year. And that is
what then is the way forward? How do we resolve the matters? Al Hassan says, let's not blame the headmasters. The free SHS program has been poorly organized. The headmasters need more to run and manage some projects in their schools, but no money. And government is forcing them to do magic. We used to pay PTA levies, and it helped them undertake certain projects in schools. Now it is not there. I do admit that alumni can also do better, but when you have our economy where it is, that also hobbles. I mean, there are schools doing very well. Let's face it, the pre-secs are doing very well when it comes to their past students.
You know
and the
how
effect.
much
Other schools are not doing so well. So what then is the way forward?
Forgive me, even in this economy, do you know how much people put in church coffers on the 31st?
Why have you monitored to find out?
This month.
The traders in the market. Let me just let you know.
Traders.
If you're talking of that,
people should start doing the projection of how much will be raked in on 31st. Nothing against the churches.
As for that, it's a different issue altogether. But I'm just saying. But you look at the Ghanaian Times talking about traders decrying low sales this Christmas. It tells you, it creates a picture. Economically, things are not as healthy as we want them to be.
I'm not saying that the economy is 100%.
But you're suggesting that people.
What I'm just saying is that, listen, I mean, we're doing, but people find money to do funny things. Let me put it that way.
Okay, so people should be more supportive of their.
If we prioritize our schools, like me, for instance, I went to St. Peter's, my own small way, I can do something. And that's what I'm encouraging, because if we burden just the government, that one, but
what I'll end with is no one burdened government. Government decided to burden. No one burdened government.
But I really
government decided to go down this road.
I really think
no one said.
And remember that finance minister
carried this burden.
Finance minister even said that, listen, if he had his way, he would, tailor it to those really, really needy students. That's what finance minister said. But we have only one captain, and that captain, the commander in chief, only one. And he had a vision, and he wanted to do one thing: make sure that his promise to Ghanaian people, he delivered.
Okay, Mr. Suparu.
And during the delivery, there's been challenges, but I think that I take my hats off for the president, that he will go down in history as the one president who took education very, very, very serious. And in concluding, let me say that
he took education very, very seriously, and all the others didn't.
Let me say that
just because of free SHS, he's taken education seriously.
Listen, the beauty of the human capital improvement in this country, based on the quantum of people who have had opportunity to go to SHS, you cannot quantify the benefits to this country. Okay. I mean, to have a hairdresser who has completed SHS is better than a hairdresser who did not finish SHS.
All right. Mr. Suparu, you have the final word on this. What's the way forward? Very briefly, I want us to move to another subject.
I'm surprised you are talking about quantity. We're talking about quality here. Quality, what does it won't make any sense to have a lot of students in senior high school, and in the end, we have less quality.
The results have been good.
Hold for me. Let me make a point. Results,
Mr. Suparu.
That's not worth it.
Mr. Suparu.
We are writing gassy, yes.
Please. Yeah. Let's do this one at a time. I didn't want to go into it, but you've made mention of it. I know of at least 3 people, I've become aware of, who have made straight A's and the rest. I want you to monitor these people, and I'm not saying there's any lack of intelligence in them. Where it truly shows is at the next level, the tertiary level.
Yes.
And that is where there were so many complaints. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with someone on this. So a lot of them have passed English language this year. But go to the tertiary level and look at what they are writing in their exams. The English they are writing, the English they are speaking. So is it a system of they have passed, or is it a system of this is what they are able to produce? That is where the quality comes in. So I don't know if it's about the quantity is important, but quality is more important than quantity.
More important.
Let's go ahead with your point.
So like you are really, get that clear for me. I think we are talking about the quality and how government should invest in taking care of this secondary school. It shouldn't be about, we have this number of students in secondary school, regardless the challenges that they are faced with in those various schools. In terms of infrastructure, I think in the past that this free senior high school, no political party in this country was against it. But what we were saying was this: let us first provide the enabling platform before going to implement it. That was why we started the free, the e-blocks, and that was going to provide a lot of senior high schools in the country to enable government to absorb. For instance, if you come to this side, I always use my constituency as example. We have only one single senior high school, my brother, just one, with the population about 70-something thousand people, only one senior high school in the district. We were given one of the e-blocks. It is almost complete, 80% complete. For the past 7 years, that project has been abandoned. And so people have to travel from the district several kilometers to attend senior high school somewhere. These are things that we are talking about. If you allow
please wrap on that point.
I think allow the headmasters together with the parents, right? Let them you are citing your alma mater, citing pre-seconds, other institutions that you are saying that the past students can help. That shouldn't be the case. It is any other support that comes, it is plus. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that at least the basic needs of every institution in this country is provided.
Okay, I think your point is made, Mr. Sukwaru. Your point is made. Thank you very much. Now, another matter that has been brewing that we're going to get into has to do with the Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam Jatta George. And he's been saying that, listen, I don't get why Mr. President is not giving his assent or appending a signature to these bills that are coming before him, citing X reason, Y reason, what toll it will take on the public purse or what the executive will have to provide by way of custodial sentences, among the rest. But his focus has to do with the anti-gay bill, what we've come to call the anti-gay bill. It's not anti-gay, but that's the simple way of putting it. It's a mouthful. And he wants Parliament to go to the Supreme Court over the president's refusal to put pen to paper on some of these bills, which have been private members' bills. Of course, the anti-gay bill has its own tussle in Parliament that it has to go through. I'll come to you first, Dr. Adomako Kisi.
Yeah.
How do you feel the amendment bills before the president and the reasoning he gave, which the Speaker has cited the very same Constitution and said that you are totally in error. Whoever is advising you is not giving you the right advice. I've heard a lot of people speak on this matter. What is your take? And you can also specifically refer to the anti-gay bill because that's also in the picture.
One of the beautiful movies I've ever seen, A Time to Kill, and then The Firm. These movies are about legal challenges in the Americas. A lot has to do with discrimination, and then the challenges of the legal system and how it was set up against the blacks. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that today, a lot has changed in the American judicial system because over time people fought. People presented issues, they were denied, presented it again, they were denied, and presented it again, and they were, allowed to have their way. It took some bold presidents to say that affirmative action should happen, and that people of colored origin can sit in class with people who were white. And if you look at the progression over time and how it made sense economically for America to agree to this, today when you look back and you look at even some of the Supreme Court justices who are black, you would come to appreciate that it was a very positive thing to do at the time. Now, the reason why I go to this is the fact that, the good book, the Bible, says that not all things are permissible under the law, and not all things are necessarily beneficial. I have appreciated the private members' bill to the nth degree. It's fantastic. It gives any individual the opportunity to make a case for government or to make a case to government that I think that on this one thing, although government is not considering it, this is my thought, this is how I want to go about it. It is very nice. Now, the other key thing is that the thing about judicial decisions or even the executive decisions, it comes down to a cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis. And I think that the onus is on the president, the executive, to decide that in considering all other issues, how does this weigh in on the public purse? And is this something that will be in the interest of the country, considering the times? Is this something that at all costs we need to put in the money? And I personally think that, one, we need bigger, better jails in this country. I mean, I'm not anticipating to be in Sawam prison or Takrade or Tamale prison anytime soon.
Right.
But the standard of care of people who have committed crimes in this country is so low. And we always say that if you want to judge...
So in simple terms, and unfortunately we have to wrap in a bit, in simple terms,
if you want to judge...
You are in support of what the president's position?
My key point is that both parties need to be very careful in the sense that you have your right as an individual to push your bill, but the president also has his rights to defend the public purse.
All right, your quick take, very quick take on this matter. Very quick take, and for the final...
Yes, I disagree with what he just said.
Okay.
If you say individual, even though it is individual private members' bill, the Parliament of Ghana consists of representatives of the people of this country. Whatever you do in the chamber, you are doing it on behalf of the good people of Anyas Wotro.
Yes.
You understand?
We can
and
always
so whatever decision yes, it is sponsored by an individual.
That is
but by the end of the day, it is the entire house, right, that consider the bills. And we had the opportunity either to say no to the bill or accept it.
And the speaker also made the point that it is the person who is presiding who even determines what those
there's nothing wrong with that.
And it doesn't really, it's not in the purview of Mr. President, whether it's a private member's bill or whatever, because
but I support
it's the person presiding.
But the president also has the right to interrogate it and make sure that the cost-benefit analysis meets the merits of his...
Constitutionally, is that his role to play?
No.
Constitutionally, is that his role to play?
Is that like the question is asking? No, the private member bills, there are of two types. There are some that comes with cost.
This one does.
And so
imprisonment or non-imprisonment, it has a bill to it.
Yes.
There's monetary
what I'm saying is that regardless, whatever cost it may comes with, but this is something that has been considered by the people representing the people of this country.
It's not the first time.
And so for president for parliament to take a decision, for parliament to take a decision for president to assign his signature to, and he is refusing to.
It is not the first time.
It is something.
There's a reason why in the Constitution the president has a right to assent.
Let him.
There's a reason.
I support the call by Honorable Sam George that we should go to Supreme Court for interpretation, because we are Parliament. He is executive. We take a decision, and we even provide oversight on executive. I understand you. Understand the angle you are coming from. I foresee the president is just setting some basis. For what is ahead of us. The basis is this: if he refuses to sign this, the anti-gay bill In the end, when that is passed, he may also cite same reasons. And so it is time. I support my colleague, member of Parliament for Ningo Prampan, that we must go to Supreme Court and stop precedent.
There is a reason why the Constitution allows the President to assent or not assent.
Gentlemen.
And that must be protected.
That must be protected. Well, the disagreement can continue.
We all know.
But we have to cap it off.
We all know that
we have to cap it off.
Just preparing.
I would have wanted us. I would have wanted us to get
the President has his rights too.
That's fine. That's fine. I would have wanted us to get into the district level elections, but that's something we'll have to save for another day. We have to.